Hello everyone. Today we're here to discuss decarbonisation and recycling in the manufacturing value chain. With more than 120 countries targeting carbon neutrality by 2050, consolidated global efforts are now high on the agenda of nations, governments and businesses. Manufacturing is not immune from this global shift. For manufacturing companies to continue their activity, they now need to recognise the imperative to work towards social goals. They need to work on this throughout the value chain. And the good news is that in providing new value, they will also uncover new business opportunities. So let's start by looking at Fujitsu's carbon neutral process, which is one of the cornerstones of the Fujitsu path to achieving sustainable manufacturing. I'm joined today by Reijo Sihvonen of Fujitsu Finland to talk about how Fujitsu is working to help realise carbon neutrality.
Thank you. As you just pointed out, addressing the global issue of climate change is an urgent issue right now. Greenhouse gases are emitted from economic activities and in our daily lives, and the average temperature around the world is on the rise. Scientists are increasingly able to link disasters caused by extreme weather and global heating. Floods and intense heat are going to affect our industry, agriculture, forestry and fisheries, as well as water resources. We talk about climate crisis because this is going to disrupt our daily lives, even our basis for survival. Fujitsu has been focusing on environmental issues for some years. In 2017, we updated a medium to long-term environmental strategy called the Fujitsu Climate and Energy Vision. That has developed over time and now comprises 3 pillars. The first pillar is to aim for zero carbon dioxide emissions by 2050. The second pillar is to realize the optimal use of energy as a whole social system to contribute to the decarbonization of society. And the third pillar is to contribute to the minimization of damage caused by climate change. For example, by the construction of strong and resilient social infrastructure and the stable supply of agricultural products. Using advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence and high-performance computing. Next, I would like to introduce specific examples of our practice. In addition to many other energy-saving measures in our data centers, we are switching all power required for cloud service operations to 100% renewable energy by 2022. In my home country, Finland, cloud centers already use renewable energy. As well as accelerating us towards Fujitsu's own renewable energy goals, our cloud customers too will be able to use green services. Distributed energy resources is another area where Fujitsu is making strides. With the promotion of distributed energy resources, such as renewable energy, solar power generation, and storage batteries within the company. As far as I know, renewable energy has the problem that is difficult to predict and adjust due to the volume of generated power changes depending on the weather. We have entered into a partnership agreement with AutoGrid of the United States, which has proven track record of providing virtual power plant solutions globally, and have begun providing solutions for energy companies and aggregators. We will also contribute to the expansion of the use of renewable energy in society as a whole, taking into consideration the response to the expanding energy trading market. So far, we have already introduced the Fujitsu's initiatives, but we believe it is necessary for different industries to collaborate to achieve a carbon neutral society. First is to collect reliable data. We believe that it's necessary to collect and visualize the carbon footprint of the entire product lifecycle, not just individual companies or specific industries, and to connect supply chains in a reliable manner. Second are concrete reduction actions. Since visualization on its own is not enough, we will use the insights gained to take concrete reduction actions that are more effective and efficient for the actual situation. Third is support for speedy development of new materials and lean manufacturing that can move manufacturers towards a circular economy.
Thank you, Rayo. Some really good, important points for the future of our world. Now, I'm delighted to welcome Andrew Quayle, who's Director of IT and Innovation at SGN, one of the largest gas distribution network companies in the UK, and Johan Carstens, who is private sector CTO of Fujitsu UK, to talk about SGN's net zero strategy and how carbon reduction will change the global energy sector.
Thank you. Andrew, welcome to Fujitsu Activate Now. Please tell me a little bit more about SGN and your core business. What do you guys do?
Well, we're a gas distribution network and the largest in the UK. So we distribute natural and green gas to around just under 6 million homes and businesses in the UK. That's in the south of England, Scotland and Northern Ireland. So ultimately, we keep people, our customers, safe and warm.
That sounds very complex, Andrew. What are your main business challenges?
Our challenges are your challenges, Johan, and everybody's challenges. So all energy companies face the same three macro challenges, which is decarbonisation, security of supply, and energy prices. The balance between these three, this is called the energy trilemma. It shifts, it moves around. Deep cost reduction and price pressures at times give way to security of supply issues, for example. But one thing that has continued to increase in priority over the last few years is sustainability and the pressing need to decarbonise the UK energy system, particularly as we see the conflation of transport, heat and electricity businesses, and particularly through the increased use of things like electric vehicles and hydrogen fleet. And we're running out of time. The UK government has set a target of 68% reduction in emissions by 2030 and by 78% by 2035. And it's the goal to hit net zero emissions by 2050. And you're probably aware Scottish Government has set a target 5 years earlier than that, so net zero by 2045. So that's, 68% reduction, that's just over 8 years away. It's not a long way away. So we're running out of time on that front.
That sounds very, very challenging. So how are you planning to overcome these challenges? So two-part question almost. And then the second part is, how do you see DX playing a part in helping SGN overcome these challenges and reduce your carbon footprint by 2045 or 2030 if we bring it forward?
Okay, well, let's pick up decarbonisation firstly. I think one parties are all likely to agree on is there's no single solution to this problem. At SGN, as a distributor of natural and green gas and a network, our main focus is on demonstrating the safe and efficient use of hydrogen gas within the existing gas network in the UK. And we've got a number of projects in progress to demonstrate that, as have many of our peers across the UK. Perhaps one of the most exciting is an H100 project in Fife. So what that project is doing is demonstrating from the point of wind turbine through to the electrolyser, storage, into the house, and ultimately to the appliance, the full life cycle of hydrogen use within the existing gas network. And that's very important because, of course, it would cost tens, if not hundreds of billions of pounds to replace the heat system that exists today. In terms of security of supply, if I can pick that one up as well, right now, if you turn on the news in the UK and indeed globally, we're seeing an energy crisis that's brought on by the global rise in gas prices, which is primarily down to increased demand and reduced stock levels post-COVID crisis. So we see a huge knock-on impact there across other sectors like foods, manufacturing and retail. And it reminds us all of the volatility and the importance of that security of energy supply. And the resilience of our network is therefore something critical to the UK. It's something we work on day in and day out, 365 days a week. Providing a safe and efficient and resilient network is actually part of our DNA. However, when it comes to technology, this resiliency and this security of supply translates in two main ways. One is the need for very highly resilient systems and architecture, but perhaps more and more focus, an enormous focus on cyber security in our sector. We're part of critical national infrastructure in our energy networks, and we're literally in the firing line of criminals, cyber criminals around the world. Therefore, there's a huge focus from government, BEIS, our regulator, and of course, our own shareholders to make sure that we're providing a step change in that cyber security capability. And so that's going to be a coming focus over the years, is that continued, well, I'd call it a step change rather than continued improvement in security. To answer the second point of your question, how do we see DX playing a part in delivering carbon reduction? We simply can't have a decarbonised energy system without digitalising it. It's that simple. Digitalisation is fundamental enabler of that conflation that I mentioned earlier of transport, heat, and electricity, both use, demand, and supply. Today, that's a relatively simple model, which is siloed, but in the future, that model has to be managed singularly. And just to give you an example, you know, in one street, you may have in the UK a house that's completely electric with an EV, with solar panels, putting energy back into the grid. Next door, you may have a house with a hybrid heat pump, so using both green gas and electricity. And you could have a house next door to that as a mix of electricity and hydrogen. And perhaps a truck depot down at the end of the road as a hydrogen fleet. So how do you predict, provide and ensure security of supply in this model? Systems need to interact with each other. Data needs to flow between entities that have never had to interact before. Modelling and prediction solutions are needed that just don't exist today. So data, digitalisation are a key route to sustainability of our energy system in the UK and globally.
And would you agree that digital twins will play a significant part in the future?
Yeah, certainly. I think digital twin is a word that's often sort of bandied around, but I think it comes back to that core principle that, you know, we need to have detailed and different models and of that entire energy system, and that requires us to digitalise and have essentially a system that is primarily physical. It is infrastructure that needs to translate into a digital model or a digital twin, as you've described it. Yeah. Fantastic.
So, just playing devil's advocate a bit now. What will happen, or what will the consequences be if SGN missed the 2045 sustainability target?
Well, the future of our business and indeed our sector depends on it. We'll become an obsolete entity with gradual diminishing role in the energy supply mix if we don't become part of the solution rather than the problem, if you like, as a distributor of natural gas, currently predominantly natural gas. But perhaps more importantly, if we fail, then we fail as a species, okay? So this really is genuinely an existential problem for our company, for our sector. Arguably, it's an existential problem for us as a species. And we simply must act and play a part. And, you know, from a personal level, I can't think of anything more important that I have to do in my role, you know, in terms of contributing to resolving such a massive issue for the planet, and as I say, our species depends on it. So that's a pretty compelling business case to motivate most people, I would suggest.
Yes. So no questions there. We can't fail. So just taking all of this in consideration, how do you see Fujitsu support SGN on this journey? We're one of your existing, you're one of our existing customers. We partner with you. We do a lot of things together. But how do you see us going forward and supporting you?
Lots of ways, but I'll try and narrow it down. I see the key themes. I see three. I see be innovative and creative, be bold and persistent, but be modest. And let me just explain and add a little bit about each. So being innovative and creative, there is a real need, as hopefully I've articulated, to think differently around digital opportunities and solutions that can be brought to bear, and how they're applied. This is actually a huge business opportunity as well. There's a whole series of innovation funding from governments and from regulators. So we really do need big ideas, okay? I think being bold and being persistent, it might take 10, 15, 20 ideas before one will stick. There's lots and lots of blockers and lots of anchors in this industry. It's a very risk averse, it's a very highly regulated industry for very good reasons, I may add. So change can be difficult to implement. But we need to jointly keep knocking down these barriers, highlighting better and different ways to do things. And Fujitsu can bring experiences from all around the planet, from other sectors. And I think such a problem really requires us to pull this wide experience from cross sectors and cross business thinking. And then finally, I mentioned being modest. I think it's very clear that we can't work in silos on this. No one organization, no one partner, no one supplier has all the answers. At SGN, we need to work together with other organizations that we would ordinarily consider competitors. And sometimes that might mean not taking the lead or getting the marketing glory. But we need to play a part, all of us. So the word ecosystem is often overused, but the reason we've survived, again, as a species is because we've had an ability to collaborate and work together for a common benefit. And that really is the order of the day today. So we're all competitive. I know Fujitsu's success has been in part down to its competitive nature, but this problem requires competition to be balanced with teamwork. And that means, again, working with cross companies, cross sector, and often, working together with partners that you yourselves may often see as competitors too. That's very much the order of the day to solve this huge problem. Collaboration and working as part of an ecosystem in a modest way.
Fantastic. Andrew, thank you very much for your time today. I've learned a lot about SGN, your future vision, and also how Fujitsu will play a significant part in the future for SGN. It was very enjoyable. Thank you again.
Thank you, Johan.
Thank you, Johan, and thanks also to Andrew Quayle from SGN. There can hardly be a more important topic today than carbon reduction. Time is running out to address this imperative, so I'm grateful to you both for showing how manufacturers and utility providers can make a meaningful difference by focusing on carbon neutrality in the value chain. And thank you for watching.